it's Andrea, the South African girl living in Canada, where I talk about immigrating to Canada, tips and advice. Today, I'll be talking about the costs in purchasing a home in Toronto, Canada, all the costs, and hopefully cover all the questions you have that keep you awake at night. I'm here at the Sotheby's office in downtown Oakville with Petrus Engelbrecht, Senior Vice President Sales, who I'm glad to chat with today to shed some light on the costs of buying a home in Canada. If you're immigrating to Canada, it can be overwhelming to consider buying a property and even more frustrating to finding the real costs of what's involved. Some of you have the mindset of buying a home as soon as possible, since paying the rent only pays off someone else's mortgage for them, right? I hear you. Let's ask Petrus. So, Petrus, welcome. This is awesome. Thank you for having me at your office.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So, I want to hear your immigration story from South Africa all the way to Canada.
Well, we moved 10 years ago now. I can't believe it, 10 years ago. We moved straight from Fourways in Johannesburg area, and we came over for a business opportunity and loved it so much that we thought we'd stay. So here we are, 10 years later. I've got 2 boys and a girl. The boys aren't really boys anymore, they're more like men. They're in Queen's University.
Wow.
And my daughter is 14 years old and going to high school next year.
Sure.
So yeah, nicely settled and loving it.
Fantastic. So, how long have you been in Canada, did you say?
10 years, so August would be 10.
Wow, fantastic. And have you always been in realty?
Yes, well, if you look at it that way, I was a property lawyer in South Africa.
Okay.
So always, literally from when I started my articles, even before I became a lawyer, I was in property. And then when I came here, became a real estate agent for Sotheby's, yeah.
Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. What are the costs involved in purchasing a home over and above the price?
Yes. And so I think the first thing that might catch people a little bit off guard is while you're still making the offer and you've been successful with your offer, you're going to have a home inspection fee. Why you want a home inspection is you never know what little things you might find in the house, and so generally you want to do a home inspection to see firstly any safety issues and any structural issues. So those are the 2 big things that you're looking for, and you gladly pay the home inspector a fee. Could be around about $500, and he does a full inspection on the house. Takes about 3 hours, and you know exactly what you're buying. So that's the first cost. That's even before you become the owner. Then when you close on the property, which is we call transferring the property into your own name, there are closing fees, and that's paid to the lawyer. But on top of that, you will have provincial tax, and sometimes when you buy in Toronto, you even have a municipal tax, which is similar in amount to the provincial tax. If you buy outside of Toronto, you get a bit of a break because you don't pay the municipal tax only in Toronto. So important to know, if you're buying in Toronto, you're going to pay double the tax on transfer that you would pay elsewhere. So that is a thing that can catch you off guard, so it's important to know.
Got it.
Then mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance only comes into place, and that's for in case of default. So the government feels that if you're going to put down less than 20% of the purchase price, you have to take out insurance on that. That amount is capitalized and rolled into your mortgage payment. In other countries, we might call it a bond or a mortgage in our case. And so you don't feel it that much, but there is a premium to be paid if you don't put down a big enough amount. So as I said, more than 20% is preferable. Less than 20%, you're going to have to pay insurance on that.
All right.
And then adjustments. So you're sitting with a lawyer, you're going to close on this property. Your seller has already paid some of the taxes on the land. So there is yearly taxes to be paid. He or she has already paid that, and you have to pay a prorated amount of that back to them. So it might be coming as a little bit of a surprise. So maybe find out beforehand what that amount is. So you have to be able to write the check on the day of closing or just before closing to make sure you're covering the taxes that your seller has already paid on your behalf. And then moving costs. That's a given. You're going to have to move your household into your new house. Some people might come from out of country, or you might have just moved into an Airbnb, or you might have leased the property and now you're moving into another property. So that goes without saying, but you still have to keep that into account.
True.
And lastly, home insurance. Once you've moved all your household goods in there, you want to protect that. So you have to bear that in mind when you're doing your budget.
Okay, fantastic. Excellent tips. So glad I learned a little bit about the double possibility of being in Toronto. Good
Yes.
one to know. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Excellent.
there's a big premium to be paid for that.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about property tax. I know it's a certain amount, and also, do I have to pay it all off in one lump sum? Can I pay it like per month? What is the deal with property tax?
Yes. So generally speaking, property tax, I always say, is chasing 1% of your property value. So,
Okay.
but I'm saying chasing because it lags, thankfully, quite badly. So if your property is 1 million, your property tax is trying to get to $10,000 per year.
Okay.
But it generally lags quite a bit. So you're looking at, say, 6,000
Okay.
per year. You'll be billed in most municipalities. You'll be billed twice a year. They'll send you an assessment to say this is what you're in for, and you can pay in 2 payments. It differs from municipality to municipality. So some will have you pay quarterly, some you'll pay 2, but it's out there and it's something to consider.
Okay.
I just feel that you're getting, again, a lot of bang for your buck because school is free. And
True.
that's where some of those taxes are going towards that. You are genuinely getting good value for money with paying taxes in Canada. School is free and all the other systems work really, really well.
Great.
So that's all
Excellent. So I think from to that point is really just depending on where you stay, check on your municipality and how they'd like you to pay. But those options are available. Just love Canada. Petrus, do I need to have permanent residency to buy a home in Canada? That's a question I always get asked.
Yes, that is a great question. The quick answer is no, but there is a big caveat to that. If you don't have a permanent residency, you pay what is called a foreign investors tax. Now that is only for the Greater Toronto area, but you basically, most people live in the Greater Toronto area when they move here. So if you move here and you don't have a permanent residency and you buy a home, you pay 15% of the purchase price as a tax on top of your purchase price. So that is quite a number. There are mechanisms to claim that back, but keeping account that it might not be for you. You might not be able to get that back. So I would really go and speak to a lawyer and make 100% sure that you feel super confident that you're going to be able to claw that money back, because otherwise it is literally just never going to come back to you, and it's a big premium over and above.
It's a lot of money,
premium,
or it depends what the value of the property is, but that is a lot of money. So
money.
I think that's a great bit of advice. Definitely seek some legal advice on that. Okay, so my next question, which comes onto my YouTube channel all the time and all of my social media, is there a difference, Petrus, in purchasing an apartment versus a semi-detached home and a standalone home?
Yes, there's a big difference, but I want to quickly correct you.
Okay.
So in Canada, we call an apartment a condo.
Yes.
A semi-detached is cool, but then also we call a standalone home a detached. So it sounds like semi-detached. Semi-detached, detached. Okay,
Exactly.
so
No, you're right. Okay, go ahead.
100%.
Perfect. Thank you.
So the big difference for me is I look at lifestyle first. So I ask the client, what's your lifestyle? Where are you going to work? Do you have children? What are your needs and wants? Needs being, I absolutely need this, and wants being, it would be cool if we have something like a pool. It would be cool if we have it. We don't need it, but we want it. So a condo, generally speaking, if you've got a family and you've got children, it becomes a little bit more difficult to operate. If you've got a baby and you've done the shopping and now you have to go and get the shopping, but you can't leave the baby. It's just, it depends where your life is and your life stages. So a condo is not always for everybody, but from an affordability point of view, obviously that's your stepping stone, that's your way in, that is the most affordable. Then a semi, or sometimes we call it a townhouse, that's one step up. Some people, if you have mobility issues and you have knees or something, a townhouse has a lot of stairs, so that's a no-no. And then you go to a detached where, yes, you've got the backyard, your children can kick a ball, you got more space, and quite frankly, dependent on from which country you come, you might be more used to a lot of space. So now you're trying to replicate that. So a condo and a semi or a townhouse is not necessarily going to be a good fit for you. So yes, it's vastly different, but I always take it back to what's your lifestyle, what do you need, what do you want, why do you need that, and then I can make proposals as to where I think the best fit is for you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
True. I know that when we first moved to Canada, we stayed in a condo. You're actually right. That is the right terminology. It was like a little 3-story thing.
Yes.
I mean, I was killing myself running up and down the staircase.
And the challenge is some of these are, I kid you not, 5 flights up. because you park in the basement basically.
True.
It's one flight up to where you sort of like living space.
Yeah.
And then another flight up to some bedrooms. You might have another flight for the main ensuite. And then some of them have a little area on the roof where you can hang out. And I kid you not, I've done showings where I show the home, and by the third flight, people say, okay, we thought townhouse is a great idea, but clearly we don't have the fitness levels and we are out. Show us some detached.
Exactly.
We're out.
I know. So yeah, but it's amazing how much space you can have in a condo,
awesome
whatever.
space.
I don't know. It's also an opportunity for you. Maybe you've decided you've been in suburbia all your life in your country and you want to try something different.
It's awesome.
This is your opportunity.
Look, don't cancel on any possibilities. We lived in a townhouse for the first 3 years in downtown Oakville. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And it took us 2 weeks for the fitness levels to get out here. You don't want to get to the basement level and think, keys in my bedroom.
I know.
Not
terrible.
in the first 2 weeks, but after that it's like, zzz,
I know.
get the keys and zzz, and you're done. Like you don't even think about it.
Keeps us young.
Yes.
Petrus, tell me about the difference between renting versus having a mortgage. We know that in Canada the inflation rate is really, really low, and so it almost seems like a smart move from a financial perspective to have a mortgage. What are your thoughts?
It is, in my opinion, always a good idea to buy a home because you get the capital growth and you're going to live in a house anyway. But there are some other considerations. Many people, when they move to Canada first, they're not 100% sure where they're going to work. Some don't even have a job yet. So it's a better idea than to lease until you know where you're going to find stability. Some people don't have the wherewithal or the financial means to buy. So then you would lease. So again, it boils down to where you are in your life, whether you have the capital means, whether you have a little bit more certainty about which areas are appealing to you. Because, I know a lot of people that move over here, they think the one town is exactly where they want to be.
So true.
And then they find out they really don't gel there. Or, one of the couple find job totally in a different spot, like maybe even 100 kilometers away. So good idea to initially just check out the scene to lease. If you are 100% certain and you have the financial means, by all means, it's always a great idea to buy property, especially in Canada. You're right. Our interest rates are at an all-time low. We just had an announcement yesterday again that they will keep the interest rates because of where the world is at the moment. We all know what we're talking about. I don't need to mention even what we're talking about. But they promised the Canadian public that the interest rates will stay at this all-time record low for the foreseeable future.
Wow.
We cannot have a situation where we push it up and life becomes more expensive. So if you can afford it, you're going to find really good and low mortgage rates as well.
Absolutely. And I think to that point, I totally agree with you. There's another thing that I was thinking about is, when if you're either a first-time home buyer and you are coming from a different country, so you've immigrated, and you come to Canada, it's already very stressful. You've done one of the most stressful things in your life is to pack up your whole house, move your family, and to come over. There's really no point in stressing and having high anxiety by thinking about buying a house and where's the money coming from and all that. Rent a place, do a year's lease, and find out where you need to be so that you can sleep at night. I mean, you've come here to find whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it's safety or whatever, university for your kids, for yourself. Don't stress. That the world's not going to fall apart. Take your time. So thanks. True. Okay, and then there's house inspections. So it's a thing, right, in Canada? What kind of house inspections? What is required?
Yes, and so generally, when you make an offer on a property in Canada, there should be 2 conditions in there, and you make the offer conditional upon those. One is conditional upon finance. You want to make sure you get a mortgage for this property. And the other is conditional upon home inspection. You want to make sure what you are buying. And a lot of things, the weather conditions in Canada is harsh. So a lot of things could go wrong on a property, and I've seen a lot of things go wrong on a property. So you build into your offer a condition that says, I want 5 days to get an inspector in to come and have a look at this house. How it practically works once that offer is accepted is the realtor arranges for a specific time slot for an inspector and the buyer and the realtor to go in there for 3 hours and look at every nook and cranny, electrical appliance. They literally switch on every appliance. They see whether that works. They run every tap, flush every toilet.
I've seen that. Yeah,
everything.
It's amazing.
And then I normally say, you're looking for deal breakers. Have I found anything that is a deal breaker? where I cannot proceed with this transaction because
Sure.
we thought we're getting this and we're getting that. And so yes, it's a big thing in Canada. There's one scenario where it doesn't come into play that much, and it's if the market is superbly hot and you want to try and get a property and your offer has that condition in and the next guy doesn't have that condition in, and your price is the same, you're probably not going to get the property.
Wow.
So sometimes you leave that out, but as a general rule of thumb, I never advise my clients to not put that condition in. So yes, you put a condition in that you want to inspect the property, you want to see whether there's any hojos there, and if everything is fine, you proceed. If there's big problems, you renegotiate.
Okay. Why is it that you see so many homes sell for over the asking price?
Good question. Now, in a hotly contested market, and it boils down to supply and demand, if you've got very little supply and you've got high demand, you're going to get a situation where more than one person wants a particular property. And you go into situations, and in certain years and certain seasons, it just becomes hotly contested. It's also got to do with what price bracket. So I normally look at it like a pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid, you've got more buyers. And once the price starts going up right at the top, you've got very little buyers. So what happens is people position a property very nicely. They prepare it. It looks great. The price looks great. And more than one party wants that, and now you've got multiple offers, and that brings out the best possible offer. So if a price is X and it's a really good property, and 5 or 6 or 6 families put in the bid for the same property, it's going to come out as X plus dollars.
Wow.
And that's why it's selling over asking.
Yeah.
So in a hotly contested market with low supply, you're going to always find that happens.
But I mean, Petrus, do you ever see it where it really rockets way over the price? Like if you've got a place for like 1.6 million, it like sells for 1.8. I mean, that sounds ludicrous.
Yes, and every city is different.
Yeah.
Toronto is notorious for that.
Yeah.
Where you can basically put $1 price on it. It's going to sell for what it's going to sell for.
Yeah.
And so it's a very difficult situation there. And then there's different pockets where you won't find the same thing happening. Even within a neighborhood, you'll have certain streets react differently to other.
Wow.
So generally speaking, at the moment, in a multiple offer situation, you won't see it going too much over, but I've seen recently, within the last week or two, properties going for 200 over asking.
Wow.
and it's in a below 1 million bracket. So
Wow.
you're talking of a 750 going for 950.
Wow. Okay,
So,
there you have it.
and and it's not even in Oakville, it was in Hamilton. So
Yeah.
it depends on the city, and but it's
So-
fun. That's where it's really important to get a very knowledgeable, I'm not talking about myself, just a very knowledgeable agent to guide you through the process. Because in Canada also, it's a big difference between Canada and some other countries. You have a seller's agent and a buyer's agent. So
True.
as a buyer, you have somebody on your side that you do not have to pay. The seller is paying the buyer's agent's commission.
Right.
So always a good idea not to go it alone. Appoint an agent to help you, and the agent will help you to obtain or get those properties. It's very important. In a hotly contested, especially as a person who goes in on, you're not going to get that property. You need somebody to help you, especially if it goes into multiples. You'll just get lost in the noise. So you do need somebody to help you with that.
And I think also on that is, you've got to make sure that your finances and things are ready.
Oh.
If you want a place, there's no messing about.
It's
like
important.
your mortgage needs to be in place, or approvals,
pre-approval.
You need to have your deposits and all those things in place, right?
Exactly. And so it's again vastly different to other. I was a property conveyancer in South Africa. It's so vastly different here. It's very well governed. So what the expectation is, you make an offer today, it gets accepted. Tomorrow you're paying a deposit. A deposit is normally about 5% of your purchase price. So if you're buying a $1 million property, you better have 50,000 ready the next day.
Wow.
Already.
Okay, so 5% about,
plus
okay.
minus 5%.
All
Sometimes a little bit lower, sometimes a little bit higher, again, dependent on a few things. And that is with a bank guarantee check.
Sure.
It's a little bit archaic here. Mostly they still expect you to go to your bank, get a bank guarantee check,
Yes.
amble over to the selling agency, go to the front desk and say, hey, my name is X, we just did a deal yesterday, here's the check. You get a receipt and a copy of your check,
Yeah.
and that's your deposit done.
Yeah.
Do not think you're going to get one extra day. People will start getting really panicky. You are paying the next day
Okay.
after you sign that
Good to know.
offer to purchase. Yeah.
That question gets asked often, so thanks for clarifying
Yes.
that. Good.
And you have to have the money in your bank account here. It's no use you say, well, I have a lot of money in a different country.
No.
Because you have to go to your local bank, issue a bank guaranteed
Okay.
local check,
Yeah.
and have it ready the next day. So, get ready for, if you want to buy something, have the funds available in your Canadian bank account to be able to issue that check the next day.
Perfect, well said. I get this question all the time from my viewers. People moving over to Canada, they are used to having space, they've got lots of dogs that they want to bring over. Is it possible to find a place in a rural area, maybe with a barn
Yes.
and big open grasslands? Tell me where,
Absolutely. And I actually get that a lot as well.
Oh.
Obviously, you can hear from my accent, I'm from South Africa. So I get that question all the time. And generally speaking, you can get it anywhere in Canada. It's generally just outside of the central business district and the neighborhoods that attach to that. So once you go just outside of that,
Yeah.
you will definitely find more space. There are awesome homes out there. Interesting thing with those homes normally is they're not on the municipal sewage system. They're not don't have municipal water, so you're going to have a drilled well and have your own
Perfect.
water, nice filtration system. The water quality is generally superb.
Yeah, true.
You're going to have a septic system and take care of your own sewer, so to speak. And so generally, my clients that are a little bit more used to, maybe they grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
They're not scared of that. It's because you're taking care of a few more things. You have to take care of your own snow. Nobody's going to, if you have a long driveway, guess who's going to sort that out? You.
Yes.
And so maybe you have a snowplow on your own truck and you can
Yeah.
actually push your own snow. So, but yes, a lot of my clients want to have more space, and they generally are available just outside of the normal neighborhoods, and they love it. They love living out there. I would say with, again, the unmentionable that we're going through at the moment, a lot of kids can now actually do online schooling,
Yeah.
which is the reason why most people want to be in the neighborhoods, because in Canada, as you know, your school district is linked to where you live, and if you want a good school that's ranked high, you better live in that neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So that's the only thing that actually, withholds a lot of people from actually living a little bit more rural.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
generally
absolutely.
speaking, you get a lot more space for your buck, so to speak. Yeah.
Fantastic. So it is doable, and I think there are definitely places out there. I know I've taken some beautiful drives and trips, and it is
Unbelievably
absolutely incredible.
Unbelievable.
What do you think about, like, you see these houses with these old barns, and there's a rule about it, you can't tear them down.
Yeah.
They're ancient, so they stay on the properties, but there are some really beautiful places.
I've seen some properties where they've converted those barns to like I nearly said man cave, but a cave for whoever wants the entertainment.
Awesome.
And and it's big, and so you can have a TV in there, all sorts of stuff. I've seen some great conversions, and some people just use it to hang out. You can do all sorts of stuff in there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, stunning. Petrus, so good to chat with you and to get the lowdown on the costs of buying a home in Canada, all the costs. I hope you got a lot out of this video. I'm so thankful to have Petrus and to be at the Sotheby's office in Oakville today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. I had fun.
Me too. It was excellent. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, please, and subscribe to my channel for the latest updates.